So, it's the end of yet another week, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week, the 2023 regular season officially got underway, and man oh man is there a lot to discuss, as by now pretty much every team has played 2 games, so the storylines across the board have been plentiful, and we definitely have so much to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. With the new NBA season now officially underway, PrizePicks is the best and easiest way to play daily fantasy to stay engaged on all of the excitement. All you have to do is pick between 2 and 5 players and the over/under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times your original entry. Choose between points, rebounds, assists, 3-pointers made, fantasy points, and more. Plus, you can even make mixed sports entries, so if you happen to be a fan of football, baseball, soccer, or anything else, PrizePicks has you covered there too. When you play at PrizePicks, you're also not competing against anyone else, it's simply you versus the projections available. As for the picks I am looking to make for tonight's slate of games, I'm looking at Joel Embiid to bounce back and score over 27.5 points, De'Aaron Fox to make over 1.5 threes, and Tobias Harris to also make over 1.5 threes. By going down to the link in the description of this video and using promo code REFERENCE when you sign up, you also get a deposit match bonus of up to $100. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Yonko, and he says that the New Orleans Pelicans are actually what people expected the Denver Nuggets to be this season. Coming into the new year, anybody and everybody throws out their predictions for how they think the season will go down, and while everybody has their own unique viewpoint on subjects, we do tend to pick up on common trends throughout from everybody. One of which was that the Nuggets were a team most people expected to take a big leap with the returns of Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. The Pelicans, on the other hand, were definitely a team most viewed as playoff contenders, but I don't see anyone labeling them as legitimate playoff championship contenders, which is where this take probably stems from. The Nuggets started their season off on a sour note, getting blown out by the Utah Jazz, but they did bounce back very well with a solid win against the defending champion Golden State Warriors, so the overreactions and criticisms toward them probably need to be toned back a little bit, but simultaneously, the Warriors coaching staff did say that they're not going all out early on in the season because their main contributors are still on minutes restrictions as they work their way back into game shape, and the younger guys on the team are playing more minutes than they likely will be later in the year in order to get their feet wet with some experience, so the Nuggets' win needs to be viewed within that context. Jamal Murray is going to need a lot of time before he returns to his borderline all-star form because of the severity of the injury that he's returning from, and Michael Porter Jr. has always been a volume scorer at best who can be a liability on defense, so the impact that he provides may have been a little bit overstated. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Pelicans have gotten off to a hot 2-0 start, beating the Brooklyn Nets and the Charlotte Hornets handily. The trio of Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and CJ McCollum is as talented of a trio as any team in the league has, and with guys like Herb Jones and Jonas Valanciunas locking down the defensive side of things, I do believe in them having a chance to finish top 4 in the Western Conference. I even said this exact thing in my bold predictions video, so I'm glad that others are now catching up. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Jamie, and he says that it's time to admit that Anthony Davis's days as an elite player are officially behind him. The Lakers are a team with a lot of issues, and there is certainly plenty of blame to go around. Russell Westbrook has been the main culprit, getting a vast majority of the blame for the team's struggles over the last year, and while he is certainly not blameless, and his struggles are a big part of it, he's not the only one holding the team back right now. Last season, the roster around the team's stars were mostly made up of aging veterans past the point in their careers where they can contribute positively to an NBA team with playoff aspirations. So this year, the Lakers flipped the script and brought in a bunch of younger, more athletic players to fill those roles, but the issue now is that the players that they added are subpar shooters, which hampers the team's spacing, and they're not very good defenders either. Patrick Beverley, I would say, is the one addition that they made that brings winning experience and positive defensive output, but besides that, there are a lot of holes. Now, lastly, even with all of that being true, the original take here is something that I have been feeling for quite some time now, as Anthony Davis just isn't the player that he used to be anymore either. When the Lakers won the championship in 2020, Davis was a dominant two-way force who anchored a top-tier defense and was scoring at will throughout that run. Ever since that season, Davis's injury issues have plagued him harder than they ever have, and the time that he has spent on the court has been well below the standard that he set for himself prior. He's been shooting the ball miserably from both three-point range and in the mid-range. His defensive impact has fallen off of a cliff after once being a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and he settles for way too many low-quality shots instead of imposing himself inside, because he has always become a player that shies away from physicality and contact. Everything that I just discussed is currently playing into the downfall of the Lakers. It's not just one thing. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Yarrow, and he says that Ben Simmons will be averaging a triple single this season. The phrase triple single got coined by fans referring to Draymond Green, who has always been an important role player on the Warriors dynasty, but his box score numbers didn't necessarily reflect it, and fans would then make fun of him for it, becoming a bit overrated by labeling him that triple single. Ironically though, there have been conversations by analysts discussing Ben Simmons in a way where they say he needs to embrace the Draymond Green role on his team, and now with the Nets, he doesn't even seem to be looking at the basket to score anymore. In Philadelphia, he was at least scoring about 15 to 16 points per game despite his shortcomings, but this year, Simmons has scored just 4 points in their first game and then 6 points in their second game. In some ways, Ben sticking to what he's good at is a positive thing for his development, but with this now being the case, him not being a threat to score at all really still leaves him with the same shortcomings that teams have taken advantage of in meaningful games time after time. He's still a great passer of the basketball, and he grabs a decent amount of rebounds, but he may actually end the season averaging around 8 or 9 points, 8 rebounds and 7 assists, technically making him that triple single. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes we discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.